Hello and welcome to Expeditions, a Mudrunner game. This one is the latest in the line of Mudrunner games. You may know them for also the SnowRunner games as well. So in other words, you basically have a vehicle that has to get from A to B, normally delivering cargo, or with this Expeditions one, you've got specific things to do. Can vary really from, like I say, picking up cargo or planting remote cameras for a wildlife project that somebody's doing, that type of thing. The essence is pick the right vehicle, get the cargo, take it to the location. Now, this particular version is £35 for PC on Steam. CD Keys have currently got it at £22, so if you shop around you should get it at a reasonable price. The console editions are £45 each, but currently seem to have a few teething problems, which I am sure will be patched out. They have stutters, so the game stutters and crashes at the moment on consoles. There's numerous reviews stating that, so just bear that one in mind, guys. Maybe wait for a patch or two, I don't know. Anyway, on to the actual game. As you can see, it's a case of choosing the right vehicle for the right job. For example, some of them will carry more, some of them will carry less, some will be more durable, some will be more fuel efficient, and obviously some are stronger than others. Equipment that you take with you is separate to equipment that you're going to take to do the job for somebody if you're doing a job for somebody. There are areas on the map to unlock and get to besides the actual specific job you are doing. So while this little Land Rover based 4x4 thing is okay for certain tasks, it's certainly not okay for everything. This is okay for scouting and generally getting around, but it's not going to haul a great ton of cargo to another location. Now, the scenery in this game has certainly been souped up compared to the old SnowRunner games. It's Xbox Series X, PS5 and obviously PC as well. At the very end of the video, I have shown all the settings and options for this particular game, so PC Crowd, if you're interested, they're all at the end there. There is no surround sound, it's stereo only. Graphics options on it are functional, they do the job. You know, I think the game looks quite nice actually, especially when you're in drone mode and having a look around. It's certainly got an appeal to it. All the biomes are nicely different and almost certainly challenging. So first things first, when heading out and you've chose what you believe is your correct vehicle and the correct amount of supplies, which would range from a jack for if you flip the vehicle completely over to extra fuel. Now, one of the ideal things to take with you as certainly starting out is some of the anchor points if you can get them. These are things that are basically placed on the floor and you can attach your winch to them to pull yourself or push yourself out of a bit of a situation. But being a Mudrunner game, it's not that simple. You've also got things like tyre pressure to consider. You can diff lock, you can go four-wheel drive, you can go low gears, high ratio gearboxes. The customization to get you out of a problem is quite, well, shall we say, wide covering. It's pretty much like real life. You know, if you know your vehicles and you know what will get you out of a problem, then you know this game is a lot better for that sort of thing. Now what we're looking at the moment is a bit of a landmark. So there's a crashed what looks like seaplane up there, and we're going to go over to it, and when we get there there's a location that says, right, we're doing a wildlife thing here, please deliver some cameras. Yeah, it's getting to the locations though that's the fun part. This game is not fast paced. If you're looking for a quick game where you're going to nip on, get a challenge done, you know, 15-20 minutes, no, this game is not that. This game is slow paced. Take your time, survey the area using the binoculars and the drone, etc. You've even got something that sounds the depth of water, so if you're wading through water, go too deep, you can damage your engine, etc. Now the other problem is fuel, so you've got to plan every part of it as meticulously as you can really, and that's why it takes time. I've driven for nearly an hour on one particular mission and literally ran out of fuel about 3 inches before the destination. There was no trees, there was no way of dragging the vehicle to that destination, so just like in real life, you've either got two options: pay for an airlift and get you taken back to your base, or go and get another vehicle and rescue your first vehicle. Now bear in mind your first vehicle's run out of fuel, so you'd have to plan adequately for a vehicle that will carry enough fuel and is strong enough to pull the other vehicle. You can refuel when you get there. So like I say, it's quite in-depth. Here we have an example of the ground anchors being used. This particular vehicle is basically rear-wheel drive only and is stuck. It was sort of pivoting on a rock here. I've got the chassis well wedged on everything. We've put some ground anchors down and are slowly pulling it up. Now we normally get a set of 5 ground anchors. I used 3 just getting it up this hill. You can winch onto trees, but if your vehicle's heavy, you can snap the tree, so that's not ideal. As you've probably noticed from the different paint jobs I'm showing off, there is customization in this game. And in fact, there is actually a couple of versions of the game available. There is the base version and there is the deluxe version, which comes with, well, a couple more vehicles, paint skins, etc. Now, whether you think that's worth it or not, you know, that's a choice up to you. You do unlock extras playing the actual game, and yes, there is a DLC store as well, so you can buy extra vehicles, extra skins as time progresses with the game. Some of them do look quite snazzy. You can even get things like stickers that go on the door and customize your truck to look, well, a bit Armageddon-y should you wish. You can have very strange bumper arrangements on the front, and you can have sun visors, you can have spiked wheels, as in the hubcaps, not as in the tyres. And well, it all looks rather interesting. The other thing that springs to mind, talking of customization and DLC, is actually repairs. So not only do you damage things like your engine if you go in water and your tyres are wearing out, etc., you can get physical damage. So I dropped what looks like a little larder 4x4 off a bit of a cliff. I'd got it winched going down the cliff, a sheer drop. When it hit the bottom, and it did sort of hit the bottom if I'm honest, the corner of the vehicle crumpled in and bent the bumper, broke the headlight. Now it's like, okay, that's a nice little cosmetic touch. No. Then it dropped to night time. Nighttime, yeah, only one headlight was working after that, so it's real-time day-night cycle kicking in, and it suddenly made it a lot harder to navigate where I was going because I'd only got one headlight working. So this is an issue to think of. On the vehicles themselves, you've also got to think about your wheelbase. So this vehicle, for example, is quite a long wheelbase vehicle, and it has 6 wheels. Now, while it may have great durability and look pretty impressive, I certainly thought this one looked impressive, and has an awful lot of customization for the rear deck. I mean, you don't just have normal lorry beds on these things, you can actually equip them with various other functional things. One of the things I equipped a vehicle with was a resource device that could scan the area for resources, you know, such as minerals, etc., and then you pinpoint where they are and, you know, go and collect them. That's quite an interesting one. But the problem with this vehicle is, because it's 6-wheel drive and it's longer and it's heavier because of that, obviously it used an awful lot of fuel. Now, it used a lot of fuel quickly. Now, you could put a container on the back to bring spare fuel with you, but then you're carrying the weight of that fuel as well, so you're using even more fuel. Bit of a balancing act to have. Also, you've got to distribute your weight evenly on the vehicle. So if you have all your weight at the back, just at the rear of the flatbed there, the vehicle becomes a little bit unstable when climbing or descending mountains, because obviously the weight is more on the back. You've got a bit of a nothing in the middle. You've got to try and balance your load out across the whole vehicle so that weight is nicely balanced and the vehicle's not going to pivot when it hits a rock or flip over. The last thing you don't want to do is flip over and damage or lose your load. It's a bit like that. Money plays an important part in the game. As you can see, all those additions are just showing you cost money, as does fuel, tyre wear, customization. Yeah, you get the general gist. Even your anchor points, you know, that type of thing, do cost money. You can only take a certain amount with you, depending on the size of the vehicle, is how many different things you can take with you. So very much worth bearing in mind. So with all this customization and the way to make money, etc., sort of being, well, forefront of the game. Is the game fun? Is it worth the money? Well, I'm a bit of a newcomer to these Mudrunner games. I have played the SnowRunner ones in the past briefly, but I've never really got stuck into them. Excuse the pun there, getting stuck. But yes, it is fun. Watching it, it's a slow-paced game, and you're like, oh, okay, I don't have my patience to cope with this. But finding your way through the terrain, having that challenge, is actually quite engrossing, and you do find many hours ticking by just steadily playing the game and trying to get to whatever location for whatever reason. That combined with the scenery that you get to see and the different biomes, yes, I would say it's definitely worth £35 if you're on PC, or £45 on console once they fix the game's problems. I'm certainly not a fan of these £70 games that they're all knocking out at the moment, and well, Helldivers was the last £35 one that I purchased, and that was also a very good game, so it's pretty much proof that that price bracket can generate a good game, and this is one of those games. At the moment, I came across no problems at all on PC, no stuttering, no crashes, nothing. Everything just worked. Like I say, I know the consoles have currently got a few issues, but I'm sure they're being ironed out. This is running on an RTX 2080 Super, and as you can see, it was smooth as smooth can be. This was a lot, 60 frames per second, no problem. But do we think it's got longevity? Yes, looking at the other Mudrunner games, they got pretty extensive DLC and things to do in them, so I don't expect this game to be any different. This game already has more to do in it than the originals anyway, because it's the Expeditions version. So yes, I would say going forward you're going to get your hours out of this, and I certainly will be using this as a bit of a comfy game. You can sit back and sort of chill and sort of work your way through it. Actually reminded me of Death Stranding in a way, because Death Stranding is about coping with the terrain and getting from A to B. This has got that vibe, and Death Stranding certainly grabbed my attention. So overall, okay, it's not surround sound, that's a shame, it's stereo. The graphics are serviceable and nice enough, and the game ran well. I found it fun. I'm going to give this game an 8 out of 10. So, guys, overall, it's a win. If you've got a spare £35, you want a new game to play, this is your one if you're on PC. Thanks for watching, and I'll leave you guys to see the graphics and sound options. Bye for now.